Eden by obsessmuch. Read by SsjDeBusk. I don't own Harry Potter or Eden. Harry Potter is owned and written by J.K. Rowling and the WB, and Eden is written by obsessmuch on fanfiction.net. Chapter 11. Breakthrough. If I be sane, then surely it is maddening to think that of all of the foul things that lurk in this hateful place, the Count is the least dreadful to me. That to him alone I can look for safety, even though this be only whilst I serve his purpose. Bram Stoker, Dracula. That is so befitting to this story, by the way. Sorry. That's like cray-cray how, befitting that is. Okay. Anyways, I did not know that Dracula had that plot, by the way. I have never read Dracula. Or watched a Dracula movie. Which is weird, because Dracula's really famous. I scrubbed hard at the filthy ground with the rattered old cloth they'd given me, trying to scrape away the dirt that cakes the floorboards. They're so thick and solid, with solid filth, that it takes me what feels like hours just to be able to tell what the original color of the floor might be. My fingers are puckered up from the cold, filthy water that fills the bucket. I have to purge my hands into repeatedly. Sorry. Filthy water that fills the buckets I have to plunge my hands into repeatedly. My back aches like mad, and my neck is sore. But at least I've got Ron with me. Bellatrix came into my room this morning and told me that the parlor floor needed cleaning, and that Ron and I were going to give the house elves a day off by doing it ourselves. It was a few minutes after I arrived here when I realized that it's the same room that Lucius and I entered when we first arrived here. The room in which I stabbed him. The room in which I changed everything between us. Made it personal. But surely to God, it was personal before that. He tortured me half to death. He tortured you half to death, for God's sake. I take a deep breath and push all the thoughts of Lucius away. There's no furniture in here this time, though, and there are none of those strange, horrible objects that littered the floor when I was last here. It must have been cleared away since my arrival. They've locked us in here. They came in every hour or so to check on our progress, but apart from that, it's just me and Ron left alone in here. I'm grateful for it. It seems that we can talk freely at least, and help each other through the simple, yet humiliating task of having to clean up after these bastards. Obviously. That did not sound like Ron. Obviously. Should I do the English accent for him? I don't know. There needs to be a contrast between him and Lucius. It has to have the English accent. Piss off, Malfoy. It has to sound like that. You can't just have an accent for some things. Okay. Obviously. I don't even know. Obviously, Ron says, for about the 10th time this afternoon, whatever time it is. What's happening is that my mum and dad have just told the Death Eaters that they'll work for them, whereas really they're just spying for the Order. I give him a non-comical murmur. Committal? Whatever. I mean, they'd never serve, who, for God's sake. He laughs a little hysterically. They just wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't, I say quietly, steadfastly scrubbing at the floor. Ron carries on muttering, half to me, half to himself. I think I hear the words wouldn't ever, and spying on the Order again. I feel so awful for him. I can only imagine how guilty he must be feeling. Yes, you can. You feel that guilty every damn minute of every day. I push that thought away, bury it deep inside of me. What's the point? It'll come back to haunt you later. As you try to sleep. It always does. Do you remember? Do you know who we bumped into? Whoa, that is her talking. Do you know who we bumped into when Lucius brought me down here? You know who? Yeah, all that. She's talking about me, because I'm Hermione Granger. She's talking about Lucius and Hermione walking down there as in we. she's like, we and Lucius, and he's all like, Malfoy. And she's all like, yeah, I don't do any of that. Okay, sorry. I say more to drive out my own thoughts than anything else. Ron doesn't look up from the patch off the floor he's working on. Who? Working on, period. Who? Draco's mum. Narcissa Malfoy. His wife. Oh. He doesn't seem nearly as interested in the subject as I am. Malfoy. The ferret, I mean. He wasn't with her, was he? No, it was just her, I think. Is she staying here as well, then? I don't know. She was dropping something off for her husband. Or something like that. There was a short silence, and the only noise comes from the scraping of the brush over wood. Do you reckon it's just us, Malfoy, Bellatrix, and Dolohov staying here, then? I guess so. What I don't tell Ron is about how I took all of my willpower not to tell my sister about her husband and her sister. About how I couldn't stand the pair of them were just standing there, talking to her. About how it seemed perfectly obvious from her attitude to the pair of them that she had absolutely no idea what was going on. I don't tell Ron this, because he'll only want to know why I didn't tell her. And to be honest, I don't know the answer to that. It's just, well, I don't have any reason to hurt her, do I? She hasn't done anything to me. It's not her fault she's married to a monster, I suppose. She married him in the first place, didn't she? That's not the point. She probably doesn't even know him that well. Why would she have married him if she knew what he was really like? Besides, it's not my business anyways, is it? I remember her from Quidditch. Woke up, he mutters, pummeling. Pummeling? Oh, pummeling, I'm a retard. Pummeling violently at the floor with his rag. Doesn't she still look like she's got a piece of shit on her nose and poked up her arse? And a pole up her arse? Arse? I can say arse in Spanish. Spanish? My mouth. I laugh almost guiltily. Well, she gave me a filthy look, and then she saw me and said, "This would be the mudblood, I presume?" He exulted angrily. Bloody cow. I don't say anything to that. To be honest, given the choice between spending time with Narcissa Malfoy or her bloody father, and bloody husband. Bloody father. Tee-hee. Bloody husband. I know which one I'd pick. She seems pretty harmless in comparison. I don't know about all that. Well, okay, Narcissa's fine, I guess. She can't possibly know what's going on. What's going on? Okay. She can't possibly know what he's been doing to me. I'm sure that he doesn't. Otherwise, she'd have taken more of an interest in me than she did today, surely. As it was, she looked through me as if I were a pane of glass. I was nothing to her, just a speck of mud that happened to be in her line of sight. She's beautiful, though. I'll give her that. Really beautiful. They really look good together, her and Lucius. The ultimate ice couple. Cold and haughty and elegant and blonde, with almost identical sneers on their faces. She looks exactly like her husband. Fuck me! She looks exactly like her husband, doesn't she? I say absently. It's weird. They're so alike in manner and appearance that they might almost be brother and sister. Ron starts to laugh. Maybe they are brother and sister. Who knows how far purebred fanatics will go to keep their blood clean. I smile and wipe off my face as the door swings open and Lucius strides into the room, sweeping his haughty gaze across the floor. Ron and I both freeze and look up at him, but Lucius rests his eyes on mine. You're not making brilliant progress in here, are you? I would have thought the mudblood and a Weasley should be quick to adapt to servant's work. Oh, just shut up. I look nervously to Ron, half expecting him to flare up, but he doesn't. He just presses his lips together and goes back to scrubbing furiously at the floor. Lucius breathes a small malicious laugh at him. There's no need for that, boy. You have finished your work in here for today. He gestures to an open door behind him. You shall wash the floor in the corridor outside, while the mudblind shall continue the work the pair of you have already begun in here. Antonin is there already, waiting to supervise you. Ron looks up at Lucius, as if he'd like to watch him suffer torments indescribable. Lucius just smirks at him. Please. I pipe up nervously. Lucius' gaze flickers onto mine. Please, why can't he stay here? We'd get everything clean a lot quicker if we worked together. Lucius smiles a lot wider. Oh, you think so, do you? He drawls. I'm afraid I cannot agree. It seems to me that the two of you will work a lot more productively if you are not in each other's company to distract you. Oh, come on, Ron says exasperatingly. What does it matter how quickly we get this place clean for you? I mean, who the fuck cares how clean this dump is? Whoever's going to want to visit it? I press my lips together to stop myself from smiling. Lucius notices my expression, and his gaze narrows before he turns and flicks his wand at Ron. That's really hard to say for no reason. Flicks his wand at Ron. Okay, that's not really that hard to say in retrospection. No. Okay, sorry. Imperio. Ron's eyes go completely blank and a tiny smile appears on his face. Stand up. Lucius mutters under his breath. Ron stumbles to his feet, his movements oddly labored. You don't have to do that, I say indignantly, but Lucius turns to me, his wand still on Ron. Be quiet, Mudblood, or I shall be forced to persuade him to leave the room the hard way. So I keep still, and I keep silent, and I watch Ron walk dreamily out the door as he shuts the door behind him, as Lucius flicks his wand at the door and to lock it. That was unnecessary, I said quietly. He turns his cold gaze onto me. Why? You don't have to curse him into leaving. He would have done it, as you said, if you'd asked him nicely. I'm not prepared to waste good manners on a Weasley, he said coldly, and I would be casting pearls before swine. Now, I want you to clean this floor for me, and I want you to do it in silence. Can you do that for me, my little Mudblood? Can you manage to hold your tongue and do something productive with yourself for once? I grit my teeth against the flare of my temper that threatens to erupt in my chest, and I nod. Bastard. Bloody bastard. Does he ever get tired of being so completely and utterly foul? I slam my fist into the bucket of water and slap the cold cloth onto the ground, my ears burning and my breath harsh. No one has ever made me as angry as Lucius Malfoy makes me. Not his bloody son, or Lavender Brown, or Snape, or Pansy Bloody Parkinson, or Rita Skeeter, or Umbridge. I've never, ever hated anyone as much as I hate him. He's watching me. I can see him out of the corner of my eye, watching me clean the floor. Yes, that's right.